Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So the question of the difference between the isness and a God or whatever. Well, originally, like Paul utilized that, it was the God idea. He went with that because people were used to that idea. So it was easy for them. And so in Eckankar, it's the God idea. And Paul used that too, that this is God. But as Rebazar gave Paul the experience through the various levels, all of a sudden you have many lords and gods or whatever. And so showing the difference, and then there's the one true God. But in this world, because people are literalized, that really doesn't mean anything to them. They're still thinking in the same sense as they always have, and their reference is the Bible, the written word. And yes, the written word, words are necessary as references, but not as absolutes. This is the difference, because people take them as absolutes. So when I took on the rod of power, I already knew, I was shown the is already, and I saw the hue destroyed on the real side. It was like that connection was gone because it had been taken over by the influence. And so, yeah, and this again, as I went through all those years in Eckankar, 30 years of Eckankar, I was to see what not to do. And I've said this many times, but I better define it for all of you. And that is that, yeah, we had those ideas at the time, but it's about awareness. It's not about comparing ideas. When you say God and the isness, you're comparing ideas. The reality is it's about awareness and recognizing the difference of those references. That's the idea. And yes, the God thing was used even by the real guides. They set up all this stuff at one time. They used it. This is a big classroom here, creation is. And, it's like they created the different grades 1 through 12, and you've been through some of the grades already. But then you keep going, and eventually you get past that, just like you get past high school. And creation is just like high school. It really is. It's very immature. It's really not a whole lot. It's a speck of dust compared to what is. And so within a person's self, to help them recognize this, they really must have the intent and determination to really learn to see how this reality is. And it is not what creation is. But at the same time, you can still utilize creation. Now, it depends upon the individual. Eventually, like the silent ones or whatever, the true silent ones, they don't really deal with creation at all. They're in the invisible reality of the isness all the time, because they're functioning. They've decided to function in that position, you see, and each person has the choice. Now, Rebazar and some of the guides, etc., are a lot of them. And me too, I see the struggle that people are having here, so I'm willing to stay for however long it takes. And I think it was Kevin had the experience where this creation bubble was ending, and I was still here. So I'm fine with that. It's not about that, because again, there's a bigger picture as you step up and become involved. And most people have been taught that, oh, I don't want to come back here. It's my last lifetime. Again, they're chasing some kind of happiness, etc. So they're only going to get a very partial, or maybe even not anything, recognizing the is at all. They'll just be in some other happy place, or they'll be taken to another planet or a creation bubble to continue on their little happiness, and the guides will be there. Of course, they're going to watch over you like a mother watches over children, but these are the individuals that don't really see it. And there's a difference. And so, again, people take it for granted that, oh, I have experiences with Rebazar or whatever. Doesn't mean you see the isness. They're the guides. And again, Rebazar, there was an experience the other day, and he'll tell you straight up, don't focus on me. Focus on the isness. Learn to see this reality. So again, when the question is asked, that's your mind. And it's okay. So you learn to recognize that. And so this is where the new presentation is not a path or a teaching. It's not about that. We already went through that stuff. That's the babysitting stuff, okay? And people like to play around with labels and words and ideas and all this stuff. Fine, whatever. I don't need to know anything. I'm not interested because it'll show up and I'll recognize that that's the best part. And it'll relate to something real, not just old references. And look at all the people that hunt, like David Icke and whatever, they hunt the old ancient history and whatever. So what? Whatever, even if they get it exact and this precise and whatever, it all equals what? It all equals nothing, because it has nothing to do with what life is. And they'll just stay stuck in creation with this so-called silly experiences that people had before. And this is what's so cool about the new nowness. As I went through this, I recognized this, which is so cool. And presenting this, putting it into words as references, but each person, that's a recognition that's indifferent to what your mind considers. Yeah, because it's far too real. I saw this as I was going along. It's just far too real, and that's just how it is. And when you look up at the sun shining, you cannot even really comprehend it because it's far too real. And that's just a reference to this reality. Yeah. Again, learn to not consider anything and learn to see, and you'll have the so-called answers you need for everything. But that takes a lot. But in the meantime, the guidance is there, and that's the best part. So you do the NUUU, you read the books, you do whatever you decide. But it's not necessary to get stuck in ideas. That's not the idea. So have to keep letting people know these are references. And yeah, that question with that, yeah. And again, it's you have to learn to recognize that to be able to compare the two. And it's right in front of you. The Kalam God is the one that everybody's looking to because he is mentally defined. He's a mentally defined authority with an absolute idealism with him. And this is what people look to, you see. And so look at all the religious people in the world. That's what they look to. They're thinking that, oh, this is the absolute or whatever. There's no such thing as absolute anything because everything in creation is made up. There's no such thing. Life is more than the sun shining. It's invisible. So how can anything in creation be anything but a reference? But look at all the people that cling to the labels and ideas and ritualism and prayers and all this stuff. And they're not focused on recognizing their real awareness. They're focused on creations. And that goes nowhere unless you can see it for the reference that it is. And that's why we're here. We need this reference to recognize what's real. But if we don't attempt, if the person doesn't attempt to recognize that invisible reality, well, then you're stuck with what you can consider, and that's nothing. That just equals more lifetimes of being unconscious. And just like this one, you do not remember how you got here at all. And did you come here to get a job? Is that why you came here? That's a little bit funny, isn't it? Now the birds will laugh at that because they don't need a 9-to-5 job. They're fine. Their intuitive nature is all about survival, where people isn't. It's about creation and nonsense and labels and mind framing themselves into programs that go nowhere. That's more than obvious. I'm presenting something that's a lot more fun and real, but you have to learn to see it. Yeah. It's not about chasing freedom. It's about letting go of the fabrication of creation to recognize the isness, freeness, all life is. That's the best part. Yeah, well, you can also confuse what is said. So again, You have to take each idea. Yeah, you start mixing them, and then you get confused. You're thinking, well, he said this about this. That's not necessarily so. So I'm saying it according to what I see, and that is that that's up to life. That's not up to me. Just like the hue and Paul saw that at that time. He brought that forward, and because of the situations, well, it was done, and the boys, they don't care. They see what's real, and they deliver the next part, which was the new, and I added the you, etc. I saw that as what was to be presented, but I saw it as the new you. I extended it a little bit. That was my choice, and it's fine. But what happens with this will run its course like anything, but I don't look to that because for me, it's all now. There is no future. There is no, oh, this is going to happen, you see? Because you're basing that on what happened in the past. Well, past, present, and future for me doesn't really exist. I simply have to deal with it. That's my position that I've chosen. And so I don't base anything upon that. And I don't care what happens anyhow, because I'm on the adventure of seeing whatever is new and real now. And it just becomes more invisible all the time, because the true reality all life is, the answer is in the silence. That's really where it is. It's not about funny things here and this and that, and even singing the new you or whatever, and musical instruments and all these things. These are things we do here to make noise, but it's not about that. It's actually in the silence. That is all. It's so cool when you can see and recognize that. You might say it's a language all its own, is what it is. And so that's the real adventure. Yeah. But for people to decide that from their personal self. So again, I've been asked that question before. Well, what if the new you goes this way or whatever? Well, I don't know. I'm not concerned about that. Right now, this is it. And the fun part I have is seeing the next step and then sharing that the best I can in a literal sense, because the world is literal and pointing in that direction, etc. So just like what I'm doing with the projects, when I was in Eckankar, I wasn't doing that stuff. I was doing my construction work, etc., and other things. But now the new view is to provide something in the earth, on the earth. And I like the reference of all natural. Okay, so I kind of created that, and I'm sure other people have used it, but I'm promoting that because like the all natural environment, but I don't even really want to use the word environment anymore. I just want the word all natural, because it's all, and people thinking that it's, it's nature or whatever. That's fine. They can think that, but that all natural word or reference relates to the isness life is, but people have to go in steps to recognize it. But at first you get their attention. That's what they do. Just like what Paul created Eckankar. The idea was to get people's attention, first of all, and basically let people know about the real guides. That's why he came first. That was his job, you might say. He was to do the first part. I'm doing the second part here. And that is that it's a lot tougher, you see, because again, those were the good old days, like the 50s. Yeah, we had fun, rock and roll, etc. And yeah, Paul got people all over the world, thousands, got a membership, was supported by it, etc. That's not my position. I don't have no membership. I didn't want any of this stuff. I'll figure it out myself. And so this is how it is, to where this is the real position now, to where you really see it. And anyone that's been through there, they can see the difference. They have the comparison now of what not to do. And a lot of people don't have that experience. And so as they come into this, of course, they're going to bring their religion or whatever else into it. And just like in Eckankar, it was the same thing. But it is a new moment. That's the best part. And as you become more now, you become more all. Not everything, because that's creation. Things are in creation. You become more all with all life as you become more now and learn to see and be real with what's taking place and step up and be creative and do something. Number one is to help save this planet Earth, which that's basically an impossibility, but we'll see what happens because we need agreement. But the idea is there. You see, that's the fun part. And so my focus here is with what's all natural, and to promote that and see who catches on to go through the process. And you're young. You got a lot of years to go, all you youngsters. Yes, you got a lot to do, but you're very fortunate that you are young. Yeah. And so again, and those that have children, they want to pay attention to the real side experiences of the children, because the children are flexible and open. The children are awesome and precious. And I've written many things on parenting and children, trying to get the adults to listen to their children, to learn. But who will? You know, they usually give them a computer and they sit there and play video games all day, and their mind is mind-framed into cyberspace. And so, whatever, this is the world. So, yeah, it's a big challenge to present something real and all natural.